The Analyst in Sri Lanka, brought to you by the Volkswagen Touareg, the great all-rounder. It's the Sinhalese Sports Club in Colombo. It's the second test between Sri Lanka and England, and it's already red hot in Colombo, much hotter than in Kandy, 33 degrees. It's only 10 in the morning, and you can really feel a sun burning down. And England's fight back in this series starts now. They've taken the aggressive option and selected both Steve Harmison and Stuart Broad, two 6'5" fast bowlers, to replace James Anderson and the injured Matthew Hoggard. I've had a look at the pitch, and there's a bit of pace in it. I reckon they'll get some pace out of it this morning if England were fielding first, but surprisingly they've elected to bat first. I would have been inclined to try and put Sri Lanka in with those two quick bowlers. As it is, England are taking first strike, and of course what's vital is that Michael Vaughan and Alistair Cook did what they didn't do in either innings in Kandy and get England off to a good start. Well, to the rather inane accompaniment of some country and western music at lunchtime, I can tell you that that exactly is what the doctor ordered. England 97 for no wicket at lunch, 2 hours play, superb batting by particularly Michael Vaughan and Alistair Cook. Michael Vaughan on 75 not out. He's hit 10 fours already. It's sort of batting like he showed in Australia 3 or 4 years ago before his injury, pulling the ball off a length, driving the ball beautifully and really getting off to a great start. I'm glad to say so far this heavy roller here has really done the job, because that wicket looks flat, but now England have to consolidate. Well, England have slightly surrendered their position. They lost no wickets at all in the first session, 1 in the second and 4 in the last session, some to the new ball, with Lassis Malinga getting 2 in 2. And there were some controversial incidents too, including particularly Kevin Peterson's wicket, caught by a first slip and second slip sort of flicking the ball up to first slip, and there was a lot of conjecture about whether the ball had actually touched the ground first. Now, I've got Derek Pringle, the former England all-rounder, with me. My view was that the ball was grounded. What was yours?
Well, the televisions aren't great in the press box, but I reckon he caught it. It looks like he got his fingers under the ball, and the only question then was whether the second time it grounded, and it didn't, certainly then, and Sangakkara caught a good catch.
It was one of those strange ones, wasn't it, where it looked as if his hands were down on the ball. You fielded at first slip, and it looked like his hands were down on the ball, sort of forcing the ball into the ground. That was my view, but you felt he got his hands underneath it.
Well, the initial view we got was that he caught the ball with his hands like that. They then sunk down. Certainly they touched the grass. Now, you could argue if the ball, is grounded between the fingers, but I think you have to accept that that's a clean catch.
It was strange, actually, because Peterson delayed his exit from the pitch, a bit like at Lord's last year when he actually stopped at the sort of pavilion rails when he was caught off India, off the bowler Zahir Khan, the wicketkeeper Dhoni, and the players sort of indicated him to stay. And in fact, in the end, his innings was reinstated. Today, not so lucky. What about overall? Do you feel that England lost their way, or was it excellent Sri Lankan out cricket that got back into the game?
Well, I think Michael Vaughan showed us just how flat that pitch was. I think Sri Lanka bowlers got their act together a little bit later in the day, but it just shows one of the perils, I think, of being overcautious. It's a very fine line. I think we criticise England for not being cautious enough in Kandy, when they had a chance of really grinding out a big lead against Sri Lanka, after bowl them out cheaply. But here today, I think they just overdid it, because if you lose wickets late on, you've not got much to show for it, and that is the sort of balance you have to fight with.
Slightly strange innings from Ian Bell, would you say? 15 runs in 60 balls, didn't look convincing.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Ian Bell pays much attention to the media, but I certainly criticised him in Kandy for not going on and really building a big lead. He was in Kandy. Here he never really got in, and I think maybe he thought, I'm going to make them pay today, this is a flat pitch, but overdid the caution.
Well, thanks for your thoughts. Certainly England at 200 and odd for, what is the score? 258 for 5. Slightly lost their way, but Collingwood 49 odd out, Pryor as well with him. They have to try and make that position into sort of 380, 400. Otherwise they're going to do a lot of leather chasing the days after, because it looks pretty flat. The Analyst in Sri Lanka, brought to you by the Volkswagen Touareg, the great all-rounder.